Coprolalia.
It's a Coprolalia.
We've done like an Italian accent for several of them. That was a nice little calm, subtle, warm intro to go
Nice.
along with our classical music theme for today.
Maybe Latin and Italian are like friends. Let's see. Modern Italians would find ancient Latin easy to understand. Oh, not so similar that modern Italians were. Okay.
Okay.
So, nothing at all. Nothing at all.
Anyway, welcome to Coprolalia. We're a couple of boys gonna discuss all kinds of heavy topics and make light of them.
Yeah, let's deal with
in
it so you don't
sensitive
have
ways.
to.
It's really quite easy to deal with when we live in central Victoria. I don't know. Yeah, in Victoria, Australia. And we don't really have anything to worry about.
Except for,
One thing.
snakes and, home loans.
I don't have to do it. The two Aussie killers. Snakes and home loans.
The snakes are the ones who actually give out the home loans too, so keep an eye out.
I was chatting to some people last night, Nikki and my housemate, while we were out for drinks, talking about I read this article, basically kind of freaking out a little bit, like, oh god, all the youth, how are they considering socialism as a viable option? What's happening to our children? Oh jeez.
They've got empathy for one another. That's what's happening to the youth.
They were like basically saying like, didn't they see what happened to Russia? Didn't they see what happened in the Cold War? Like,
No,
it didn't work.
I couldn't see shit from here.
What the? Also, that's kind of saying that capitalism did work, and that's what fucking pissed me off. Like,
Yeah, have you
as long as
seen?
there's-
Have you seen those charts that say like how many deaths from communism and how many deaths from socialism?
No.
And they're like, I don't even know how they make those charts, but the usual response is like, well, the death count is like still climbing from like capitalism standpoint. There's like a humongous amount of deaths under capitalism that you'd have to be stupid to ignore.
As long as there is, and I'm not saying like, obviously communism in the way it was done, didn't work. I mean, it collapsed, basically, and it caused a lot of suffering. But that's not the same kind of socialism that the youth nowadays are talking about. And I don't know much what I'm talking about because I don't look into politics that much. But just to get scared, like oh my god, all the kids are gonna become communists, like that. Capitalism is clearly failing to a degree. As long as there's homeless people on the street, and as long as people our age are never going to be able to afford a house to own, or we're going to be renting
Or
our
even-
entire lives.
Or
That's
even
insane.
death by snakes at a young age as well.
If death by snakes still exists, capitalism has clearly failed.
I saw a picture that Donald Trump posted, or allegedly posted. I don't know what's real anymore. One of his children came back from trick or treating, and he made a post saying, "I took 50% of her lollies just to like it's never too early to teach your kids about socialism."
Okay.
So his concept was that like she earned all those lollies and that like socialism is where you come in and steal it from people and like tax it. But what he didn't realize is that like socialism is the fact that she went up door to door and was given lollies for free.
Yeah.
Capitalism and everything is when is where she now has to use those lollies to trade with others, or else she can't like get something more substantial to eat. Like,
another one thing that I saw kind of raised in this article, which is a good point, was talking about how communism back in the day, or socialism back in the day, was still based in a world where everyone had to work to further society.
Right.
But nowadays, that's just not.
Yeah,
gonna be the
we're
case.
working to destroy society at this point.
There's not going to be jobs in the same sense. There won't be a working class anyway. Like, automation is going to take away all the jobs, and they're going to take our jobs, which is great. I mean, obviously, I don't think society's prepped for it just yet. But like, give us
I'm
universal
prepped.
basic income, stuff like that.
I'm ready for it.
Then that sorts out the issue. Because human beings, we're going to have the ability to just take care of ourselves without actually doing back-breaking labor.
Hell yeah.
Pretty sweet. Who wants to fucking work these jobs? Perhaps a little insensitive coming from someone who finds it very easy to get a job, being a young white dude in Australia.
Are you sure? Are you sure that you find it easy to get a job?
Yeah, it's been pretty breezy.
Oh, I've not had an easy time finding jobs. I don't
know what to say.
I don't think I should have a job right now, and I don't. So that's all right. Ooh, do you know Filthy Frank?
Yes.
He's quitting his filthiness, and he wants to be like a proper serious musician now.
Yeah, I've heard we should mention actually who he is for the listeners. This is something we need to be doing.
Is Filthy Frank.
Filthy Frank from YouTube.
He's an internet star.
He did a lot of comedic rapping, didn't he?
Yeah.
But now he wants to be serious. He got some serious shit to say.
Yeah, which I'm all for.
Yeah, of course.
However, like, if the internet is at the climate that I think it is, he will have to make a certain amount of money from his music, or else like he'll have to go back to YouTube or get a job doing something else completely. I don't know how anyone can support themselves while they're giving themselves the space to create music and stuff. It's just nuts.
You could do it. He's got a following though already. Like, how much would he actually need? Like, if he got just enough of his fans to buy an album for $10 on Bandcamp, then that would just really support him.
Yeah, but you don't actually sell your music until like the months and months after you've gotten all the songs together. You know, if you sold them individually, maybe like you could do it month by month. But like, you wanna save up a year's worth of time or something. Well, maybe that's just big bands who take a year to release a fucking album. But if he wants to take his time, you know, month after month, it stacks up. It's expensive.
Yeah.
Food, rent, everything like that. Like, you're just gonna run out.
Well, he could do a monthly Patreon. He could do vlogs talking about his music creation, and that could come out every day, and then people could subscribe to that. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
There's ways around it.
Yeah, I guess.
I think if he's got a following already, then hopefully he'll figure it out. It's getting that initial following is where I think it's super hard to make ends meet. Because if you're clever about it, you can kind of monetize anything if you work out some way of creating media out of it, making content out of it. Yeah, if you're taking a month to make an album, yeah, you can vlog, or you could blog, or you could just take Instagram fucking photos, I don't know, every day. You got a following, you could do sponsored posts every day, I don't know, you know, something.
Sponsored posts every day?
Yeah.
You mean spend more money?
What? No. You take, if you got a big enough following, then you take a photo of a nice guitar, and then the company who made that nice guitar, you talk to them prior and say, hey, you want to give me some money, and I'll take a photo of this nice guitar and say, hey, buy this guitar.
Yeah.
You know
yeah.
then
that's
you just create
that's a little bit soul selling, but
yeah.
You know,
but
I would
I guess you have to pay your bills somehow. Unless we live
What?
in a socialist society.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. No more bills, man.
Yeah.
I get it. Like, there actually should be some, you know, some circular, self-sustaining routine.
It's I don't know,
Does that make sense? Did I say something that makes sense?
I got what you meant.
Yeah,
Hopefully
cool.
the listeners understood. I would say I don't know. It's hard. I don't know, man. As someone who wants to be an artist and has been trying to figure out a way to make money off it for years,
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah. Even if like,
We keep trying.
because let's say that if you work fucking hard,
Yeah.
you do eventually, like, the money finds you or whatever.
Potentially.
There's a certain period of time where you're working fucking hard for nothing at all. And
Yeah.
that's not like an easy thing to do, to like maintain hope, maintain motivation. Like, how do you just go, yep, it's not working at all, but you know, I expected that. Just keep going.
Yeah. I think it's kind of the reason why I haven't made music in a long time. It's because I got sick and tired of people not listening to it, and not angry at people for not listening to it. Oh, you guys didn't
Why
listen
the
to my music.
fuck?
Just the music landscape I was just bored of, and I was like, this is just so much, so much chance involved in actually getting to do this professionally. Unless you there's ways to do it so professionally and make money, but as you said, kind of not selling out, but you do have to choose if you're going to be a working musician or if you're just going to solely make the thing that you want to make.
Yeah.
That's probably a lot harder to then. You have to push a lot harder to get that to the point where it can sustain itself, I would say. Like, if you just wanted to make money as a musician, at least for what I was doing, I could have just become a DJ and worked hard at that, and actually just play the music that was going to do well at the club.
Right, yeah.
And that would be fine, and I would be able to make more money doing that. Maybe I'd even be able to pay my bills. But it wasn't what I was interested in, so that's why I stopped, at least for a little while. And same with the cartoons. If I just focus perhaps on a more like more jokes, then perhaps that would do a bit better. I don't know.
Well, I'd like to always maintain artistic integrity without having to compromise on that.
I think that's the dream.
That's the dream.
Well, I guess money will be more difficult to come by with it. Then that's fine. We'll just take your time.
Well, yeah. If my expenses are like almost nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I want
good.
the patron system to work. I want I want people to just be like, well, I can see that you're trying to do something. Here, stay at my place. And you know, if you make a hit song, take some pass on some royalties to me, and we're all square.
It sounds like a record deal.
But it'd be more like just, it could happen on any scale.
Just some guy.
It's how they did it with like Michelangelo and Beethoven and stuff. They let him live at their nice establishment so he could compose in peace without having to worry about anything.
He probably got to that point after a while, though.
Yeah, but
there's a lot of people who we know as people who, like, a lot of famous classical musicians. There's quite a few of them who their job was to write symphonies and stuff like this on a day-to-day basis, and so the ones we remember were maybe the best ones, or the ones that they really poured their heart and soul into. But it was just their job, and so every single day they had to write an insane amount of music that would be performed. It was just that was their entertainment. That was the entertainment of the high society. And they just had to do it day in, day out, and they probably hated some of it.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of shit music from Beethoven's era. Even from his own discography, maybe.
I'm sure there was. They're just people. They're not fucking gods. Even if he wrote a fucking symphony at 7, like I don't. He probably had less. He probably didn't have to go to preschool, so he had more time on his hands.
Didn't have time to paint with his fingers. He was writing symphonies.
And who knows? Maybe he was like kind of forced into it at the start. Maybe his parents just saw a slight glimmer of hope, a bit of talent, and then they just like pushed him really hard to write some shit.
Produce a seminal work. More feeling.
I mean, it's when you get like people who push their kids really hard, or people who push themselves really hard, and then later on they might look back and go like, yeah, I'm really glad that happened because now I'm where I'm at.
In my head, the image was just a parent just like pushing the kid onto the ground, and then the kid going like, you know what, that really paid off in the long run. Made me afraid of my dad, and you know, it's exactly what I needed.
Now I can write this album about my dad being an asshole.
Some people have made fortunes just ragging on their dads in their music, or like reacting to their dads in their music.
It's good content.
Not necessarily.
But it's good content because it's relatable to a lot of people. Like if most people weren't beaten by their parents, then would that be nearly as relatable? Not that many people are beaten by their parents like nowadays, perhaps at least in our circles. But you know what I'm talking about, like singing about being a drunk. I don't think that would be as appealing unless everyone was a drunk, and most people are, you know, to a degree.
Right.
Alcohol's wholly abused by our entire society, so that's why it's such a good topic. When you're saying like, yeah, man, bitches and champagne, you're like, oh, well, I like bitches and champagne, so that makes sense. But if you lived in the suburbs as a stereotypical white housewife, then I'm sure bitches and champagne aren't your bag, and you like, yeah, it's not my thing. I'd prefer to listen to Beethoven. I don't think they listen to Beethoven. They listen to ABBA.
This is how I deal with my childhood trauma. Listen to Beethoven. Beethoven's dad.
Were you forced to write symphonies at the age of 7?
No, I don't think I was really forced to do anything at 7. I fell over and like hurt my wrist like twice. One time green stick fracture, and the other just like this big cut.
I remember that.
And those were the only things I was really forced to do, forced to experience. And I can't really be mad at anybody but myself.
That was just reality. Took a swipe at you.
Yeah. Took a swipe, got me in the wrist, if you know what I'm saying.
I was just gonna just the point of actually talking about people being forced into what they're doing.
Yeah.
Was a point to say that because I've had discussions with my brother and other people who push themselves really fucking hard, and I push myself really hard as well, to a degree, which can be frustrating. But when they practice like fucking maybe 10 hours a day, this is actually, that's more like that's like the dream. Like you hear stories of all the great jazz musicians, and they played like 10 hours a day, and that's why they were so fucking good. Which is, I think that's fine if that is what you want to do, and if you find it coming naturally. Like I definitely find pushing myself to work really hard every single day is quite a natural thing for me.
Oh wow.
But I also admire people who just chill the fuck out. If if you just want to Netflix and chill, or just play video games for your entire life, or buy the new Nike sneakers, or just take a walk in the park, whatever the fuck you want to do. If you're actually really happy with that existence, then that's brilliant.
Yeah.
And I can't stand it when people expect you to do something with your life, and that's what I'm talking about. Parents like pushing their kids to be something. It's like, it doesn't matter if they are absolutely happy working a shitty job, or not even a shitty job. What if they just want to fucking go live out in the bush, or if they want to work an average job and they love just going home and playing video games, and they're so fucking happy with that at the end of the day.
Well,
and that is amazing. That's happiness. That is success.
I tell you what though, you can be satisfied with that, but people. You're right. Other people in your life are not going to be satisfied seeing you do that,
Yeah.
or
What's the
seeing
fun about?
you. Well, but even like, I think there's some social expectation in relationships that, like, say if I don't know if it's like 6 years into a relationship or something like that.
Mm.
Um, they're like, well, it's like, let's think about buying a house, and
Yeah.
and yada yada, and then you think to yourself like, well, actually, I'd have to up my work hours by like 200%.
Yeah.
I'd have to stop playing these games, and I'd be in debt for like 2 decades. And you just think to
Yeah.
yourself like, I don't want to do that. And then, yeah, whoever you're with is gets this feeling like that of stagnation, like, oh, I'm stuck.
Yeah.
It's not moving. That feeling
Well,
of like, I should be somewhere by now, but I'm not.
yeah.
How do you know when it's justified and when it's not? Because sometimes that voice is actually trying to give you a kick in the ass to follow your dreams. But sometimes it is just like, just a niggling feeling that's coming from someone you know, or like a loved one or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Just get drunk and swing fists, I guess. That's what came to my mind.
Um. Well, I mean, in that particular case, they probably should not be together. Those two people, they've clearly got different goals in life.
Damn. Telling it like it
Um,
is.
But I don't know. Yeah, perhaps the human mind needs to feel a sense of movement forward. They need to feel progression. So maybe sitting on your couch and playing video games isn't going to work out in the long run. Maybe you'll realize, like, once you're 50, like, oh shit, didn't do anything. However, that said, there's no time in your life when you can not start something. So if you did play until you're 50 and you're like, you know what, maybe I actually want to do something, you could just do something.
Yeah. You don't actually, like, spending a whole ton of money is not like the only event that'll happen in your life. Yeah.
Fucking Colonel Sanders didn't start KFC till he was like fucking 70 years old.
Yeah, but he did. So it's not like he's enjoying.
So did he succeed?
No, not at all.
Died.
No, I mean, he didn't actually get to live, enjoying that money or that business or.
But he obviously knew that when he started. Like, he didn't start selling chicken thinking, man, this better become a giant global conglomerate in the next 6 months or I'm fucked.
Did Colonel Sanders own slaves?
That's like a common joke, isn't it? Something on the webs.
No,
Yeah.
the joke is that black people like chicken,
Oh, of course.
not that he owned slaves.
Maybe that was his joke. Maybe that was his ploy. Maybe he was like, man, I miss owning slaves. How can I own slaves without actually owning them? I'll make them slaves to my chicken.
Jesus. Here at Coprolalia, we actually aren't racist.
We just play racist characterization
There's
of social famous people.
there's a whole field of characters and archetypes that we like to play with, and some of them may be of a certain race, but it's not to belittle that race. It's usually because there's some intrinsic humor in their character and in their dialect.
There is definitely a difference between this is really thin ice.
Yeah. I don't mind.
But there is a difference between being racist and poking fun at a culture.
And also just being inspired by a certain culture's sense of humor. Like, the amount of memes I digest that use a sort of, I guess, like a ghetto dialect or like a gangster dialect or whatever, numerous amounts of ethnic dialects that are just fucking hilarious. And that is all they are to me. It's not like the joke for me is not like, oh, look at them trying to speak English. That's not at all the joke ever.
Yeah. It becomes a joke. So it becomes offensive. I think as long as you think that the alternative is right and they're wrong. No. I mean, but it's like it's not racist to say that the Japanese shouldn't kill whales. You know, like you can
Right.
critique, you can make statements and analyze via logic.
They're people just like us, right? And those whales are just like us as well. There's actually no species that's been disproven, and that whales are just like Japanese, which are just like people.
So Japanese aren't people?
No. I'm saying that they're all people.
Okay.
I'm saying rocks are people. I'm saying trees are people. And you know, if you want to make distinctions, well, go ahead and be racist if you want.
That's pretty progressive.
Yeah, I'm going all the way.
Where were we? I don't know if we want to delve further into racism.
Colonel Sanders owning slaves.
That's right.
I'm trying to disprove it. However, there were some other things we were going to go in on. Since we're already at like this dark place,
yeah,
let's talk about the shooting in America.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Because I have got a point to make about it. Not about the actual shooting, and not about shootings in general, but the reaction from people, mainly to keep their guns. But should we? All right. Let's talk about it. What we got? So there was a shooting in Texas.
When?
Let me have a little look-see. I'm finding stories around it, like not actually talking about it, like talking about people's reactions and the controversy from other people.
So is the Texas one recent?
The news looks like it's from I'm seeing around a couple of hours ago. I don't know when the actual shooting was.
Oh damn!
But recent. I definitely think in the last day or so. Okay, Sunday. Yeah.
Sutherland Springs is that the?
But apparently I've got a thing here saying that he had a history of domestic violence. The shooter.
Classic.
And yet he's still got a gun.
Yeah. Well, how do you measure domestic violence?
If he had a history, that means there was police checks. There was police
oh
reports,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Surely,
I get you.
If there's actually a public, if it's an accessible information, then they surely should have been able to find that out when they checked.
Yeah, if there have been calls to the police asking for help because this guy's beaten them, then yeah,
you should never have a gun.
Denied assault rifle license. Yeah.
You can have a handgun. You can't have a fucking assault rifle.
Even a fucking handgun. I was watching this video on the whole George Zimmerman thing. Do you know that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen it, so I would need to be refreshed.
The dude was able to just completely lie his fucking face off, and people were just really okay with that. They were able to like see him as a good guy in the narrative, and Trayvon Martin as the hoodlum.
Yeah.
But he actually has a concealed carry license, so he was allowed to just have a gun on him at all times. Freaks me out. Like, if you own a gun, you have some sort of plan of using it. You have
right. You don't
something's in your head where you're just like prepared to kill someone.
Even if it's based on like I just need to protect my family, like that means you're scared that somebody's gonna come into your house and gonna attack your family.
Yeah,
Clearly
and
there's something wrong.
And
Clearly
what's
something else is going on there.
The idea that country has people who just think, you know, oh yeah, humans are just like that. They just do that. You know, they come in, they want to kill people. You know, fuck. How long have we been in Australia? And have you ever seen an altercation grow and rise to the point where they were physically like planning to kill one another. Like I've never heard of that or experienced it firsthand.
Yeah, super uncommon.
It's
there's
you
still gun
guys,
violence in
America. It's
Australia,
fucking you guys.
like the last mass shooting in Australia, I can't remember when it was. But after that mass shooting, we took away the guns. Well, we said, all right, no one's allowed guns anymore in Australia. You've lost your privileges, Australia, because you fucking shot each other. And since then, no mass shootings.
The
Like, how is that not enough fucking evidence? Not to say Australia is all fucking dandy, but
you are actually allowed guns under certain licenses, but
yeah.
nothing like concealed carry, like nothing like
No.
that. Like no one would give out a license saying like, yeah, you better keep yourself protected. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't at all.
I spoke to a guy at the pub about his gun license, and he was all for the strictest of strictest regulations about gun ownership, which was really interesting to listen to. And like he had to have so the police had to know where the guns were, the safe that they were in, how many, what the ammunition was, how much ammunition he had. The police were just allowed to randomly come and check his house, and they had to, by law, to come and check his house like every couple of months to check that the guns are still there in the same location.
Wow.
And if they're not there, and they're like, if they're stored somewhere else, and they weren't notified, that's the thing. If he was going to take it out and move it to another location, he had to notify the local police that he was doing so.
Wow.
In writing, like that's fucking fantastic. Like, that's how it should be. He would also get checks on his. He would have to do like psych checks and stuff like that, just to make sure he was still totally fine to have a gun. All this stuff, like so much regulation, and yeah. And I was talking to him about it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it's absolutely necessary. So many people should not have a gun, and this is great that these regulations exist."
Yeah, right.
I was like, good on ya.
Everything I want to.
You have a gun now. You can have a gun, because he just uses it to go out hunting foxes or something like that. I was like, all right, sweet. They're a pest, I guess. No dramas.
Yeah.
Anyway,
everything I want to say about gun control is already like in some stand-up bit by Jim Jeffries or some shit.
Yeah, right. Well, just what this kind of got me thinking about though, and I've been thinking about it the last couple of days, is people being all up in arms about losing their rights. And this is the common argument against gun ownership, or for gun ownership in America by a lot of people. Is like, it's our fucking right to have a gun.
Yeah.
It's in the fucking amendment. It's the Second Amendment to the Constitution, so you can't take away our human rights.
Well, that's not a human right at all.
It's
right.
Yeah, you can't take away our rights. This is kind of a common thing nowadays. Like, yeah, to just feel like it's my right to have these things. It's my right to blah 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 blah, whatever, right? There has to be a point where logic comes in, and and the people have to just give up these so-called rights, because the things you need are like water, food, shelter, maybe some love, and that's all you fucking need. You know, like having a gun, not a fucking right. I think having kids should not be a fucking right. Like that's something that's about overpopulation. Like I definitely think that you should not be allowed to have more than 2 children.
Well,
if you would just say that, people would put up their arms and say, "Hey, that's my fucking right to have children." Like, why? We're not beasts anymore.
Well, it's arguable that that it's like one of the sort of imperatives of our own nature, and one of the purposes of actually being born. So it is sort of like robbing someone of like, imagine if you were born and you started paying a breathing tax or something like that, where you're just like, that's not fair. I feel like I should be allowed to breathe. It's like that's what keeps me alive. It's what I actually live to do.
Well, okay, so if that's the way people think, if they love having a baby and breathing into the same category, they can get absolutely fucked. Like how many fucking issues do we have in the world that would stem from overpopulation?
Yeah, well, population is actually plateauing. plateau.
It's just about the attitude towards it. It pisses me off. And not everyone has this attitude. A lot of people would agree with me, I'm sure. No one needs more than 2 children.
So they're expecting. I don't know who is the person expecting this, but I'm seeing something here saying that about 9.4 billion people by 2070, and that's in line with the UN's predictions. It's going to plateau at 9.4 billion, and then in the next 30 years, it will take a downturn and return to just 9 billion by 2100.
Well, let's hope for that.
We might 2070. That's actually in the realm of like me still alive.
Yeah.
So I might actually be able to see the Earth's population plateau, which is exciting.
When things like this come up, saying we have to limit the amount of kids.
Yeah. It is a good idea. I'll be honest. Like we don't need more people. Yeah. But go on.
I'm not saying we don't have people at all.
Are you saying we should kill babies? That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Actually, here's I thought of a little funny line about that though. Like, with abortion and having too many kids, like, it's my right to have kids. Like, before kids exist, they don't. And I think people need to remember that. It's not a real thing yet. It's not your fucking right. It's not a human life that you're being robbed of. It's not a baby that you're being robbed of. You're being limited. You've got a quota. You can't go over it. Sorry, I guess I need a lot more facts behind what I'm saying. This is like pure logic.
And we were a bunch of dudes talking about it too.
Yeah.
There's like a whole different actually, I don't even want to claim that there's a different like intrinsic attitude in women because they bear children physically. Like maybe they do think just like us. Like, what the fuck? I don't want one of those disgusting things.
Yeah. Well, Nikki's definitely on my side. In fact, she's even further into this idea. She never wants kids, and she doesn't.
Oh.
She's almost always critical of people having kids.
I respect that. I know a couple of people who, through health complications, can't actually have kids, and while it like weighs on them quite a lot that like the option is just not there, they do actually adopt the attitude like this is actually an alright thing. This is totally okay. Like eventually, they do become okay with it. Unless they're like, you know, they're experiencing some sort of ongoing health issue simultaneously. Like, actually, I'd like to list something just for professionalism. What is it? Nah, screw it. Screw professionalism.
The number of like I've seen so many people who clearly had either kids too young, or had kids for all the wrong fucking reasons. Like, it almost seems like a scapegoat for a lot of people, where basically they don't know anything beyond having children. They don't know anything beyond raising the kids. And I don't know. Perhaps people are born to be parents, but I don't think that should involve. I don't know, the few I'm talking about, the few people I have met who are like this, the few parents who I've met who are like this, don't seem particularly happy with who they are before they raise the children, you know?
Right.
Especially if it happens early, then they haven't really lived yet, I guess. I don't know, they don't have much experience, they don't have much to teach these children. And so it seems like their entire life becomes about their children. I then also worry like what's going to happen once the children leave.
Right.
The few I'm talking about also have way too many children, upwards of like 5 to 7. Like that's
ridiculous.
An issue. Clearly an issue.
And actually, socially, those things can change. Like, short of the country employing like a one-child policy, which is like where things start to get really dirty. In Vietnam, the average child was like the average birth rate was like 6.5 kids per family.
Yeah.
But that dropped, and that was simply because everyone became simultaneously aware of how not okay that was for the country, for the economy, for their own personal well-being, like being able to get enough food for everybody. They just socially all, like, it just worked its way around. That number dropped to like 1.5 kids or something like that on average. Just like dropped all the way within a certain amount of time too. Like that was pretty small. And
really sucks to be the half kid.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if we can do that, if we can remove the stigma around abortion, if we can get people to pay attention to birth control properly, if we can put some fucking research into male birth control, which we've done a little bit and then backed off because we're fucking, I don't know, sexist idiots. And also, I guess place the stigma? I don't know. Like, yeah, kind of encourage the population. Like, maybe having too many kids is a bad idea. And who'll then stop doing it, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. How often have you heard people talk about how they think kids are a fucking bad idea? It's spreading. Amongst
the youth, yes, it's definitely on upswing. But that's where I'm within particular circles. Like, I'm sure if I was amongst more, dare I say, mainstream, it sounds really pretentious of me, but more mainstream folk, then perhaps it's different. Hopefully it's changing though. Yeah, I would say you're right. Amongst people I talk to, yes, it's definitely changing.
Mainstream folk. Do you mean people?
Mainstream folk. Yes.
Or do you mean like the genre of music has adopted a very anti-child attitude?
I'm saying I don't know what they do.
Damn. Oh, that's good
anyway.
stuff.
I get worried that like some of the ideas that I'm talking about perhaps would sound I guess extreme, or what would be the word? Authoritarian? Authoritarian? That's not the right word either. I don't know, man. Like, basically limiting people's rights and saying like it's all for the greater good, but basically we're going to control everything you do. You know, it sounds like I just want to be a dictator, something like that.
I'm very much in the mind that everyone should have the freedom to pursue what they're like, sort of whatever their intuitive will wants.
Mm-hmm. Without fucking up others though, without making it more difficult for other people to do the same.
Yeah. Don't mess up other people's ability to pursue their will and as well.
Yeah, because that attitude, it's like a big part. Part of the reason why people love capitalism so much is because there's the chance of the most extreme version of success.
Which it actually impacts on other people. Like if you're an extremely wealthy person, that's money that someone else can't and doesn't have.
Yeah, exactly, right? So you start a small mum and pop business, but you think, I want this to be the best fucking business, and not just like the best product, the best business. From a capitalist point of view, that means it has to be the biggest, the best, and the only way you can achieve that is by creating a monopoly on everything. So you sound
like Trump while describing it, just like biggest and the best, and not just a product, but a good business.
But you know what I'm talking about. Well, that's my point. Yeah. That's my point.
Yeah, I think it is.
This is how you talk. I don't talk like this. Currently I do, I guess. But yeah, that's the attitude.
You wouldn't if you could.
Is trying to achieve that level of success that in a fair, just a nice world doesn't exist. Man, I'm all hot and bothered.
It is 11:44 in the morning.
This was supposed to be a comedic podcast, and every single time I'm just all hot and bothered every time. Goddamn.
That's all right. Well, this is the time we get it all out there. get all the shit we're mad about out there. And
Yeah.
wait, what happened to the fucking bark?
God damn.
There we go.
Bring
Thank you.
Bring it back.
Best of.
Anyway, all right. So that's that. Do we want to touch on the horse races? I don't know if I want to.
Yeah, do it.
No, it's just fuck the horse races.
Yep.
Yeah, I did a vlog today about it because I got a cartoon coming out about it later.
Have you uploaded the vlog yet?
No.
Wait, you
I'm
did
gonna
it
edit
today?
Yeah, I'm gonna edit it after we finish this.
Were you half asleep?
What? No, I got up at 7:30.
What?
Yeah, I get up. Well, I work every day, so I get up at 7 normally, and then today I got up at 7:30. I try and get up
On
at
a day off, you got up at 7:30.
Yeah.
I'm out of touch with the world, I think.
Well, that's what I'm talking about though. For me, like I want to push I want to try and get as much done each day.
Yeah.
So
Alright.
nowadays I got a schedule. So every time I get back from work at 12:30, then I record the vlog. I'm gonna try and edit it quickly so I can get it uploading before 1:30, because it takes fucking hours to upload in Australia. Anyway, so I've got a vlog coming out about the horse racing and a little cartoon. So I did a little bit of research about it.
A 5-minute vlog takes an hour to upload.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
At 7:20.
Like, I'm sure you're stating an actual thing that happens. It doesn't.
Takes me a fucking long time.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that for me.
Yeah, well, maybe your internet's a lot faster. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
At least your upload speed. I don't know.
Maybe it's just your attitude.
Maybe.
Maybe YouTube doesn't want your attitude.
You should let me know how big the video files are for these Coprolalia videos.
Yeah, sure. I can tell you right
anyway,
now.
it doesn't matter. This is not for the podcast. The point is, I did some research into the
145 megabytes.
Oh, well, there you go. Mine are 300 roughly to 400.
Okay.
Anyway, alright, there you go. That little segment is called "If you live in Australia, good fucking luck doing YouTube." It's slow. It's just hard to keep on a schedule. Like, it's hard to upload on the same day you record. If anyone else is using the internet. Yesterday it took me like 4 hours because someone was watching Netflix.
Oh,
Anyway.
at least they could actually watch Netflix at the same time. Sometimes, like, it's just real bad.
Yeah, true. So anyway, horse racing. Finally got around. Basically, I was looking at. Oh, obviously, there's a lot of cruelty involved with the horse racing. It seems like a dark, twisted sci-fi film kind of thing. You know, like where all the lowly peasants come and bet their hard-earned money, tear their family apart because they got no money left anymore because they bet it all on a horse race. We're torturing these animals basically to run around a track. And we slaughter a whole bunch of them when they're sick or they trip over. Imagine that. Something trips over and you're like, well, it's done.
I think they need to break their ankle or something for it to be put down. Tripping
because they're being pushed really hard. When they do fall, they fall fucking hard.
Yeah, I
apparently
agree.
Their knees explode. That was something I fucking read today. Do you know we turn a lot of it into dog food? A lot of horses turn into dog food. I didn't know that.
Wow.
Also, we ship about 2,000 tons of horse meat to be eaten by humans in Japan and Europe.
Whoa.
There you go. There's some little facts.
Melbourne Cup.
But that's the thing. That's what freaks me out about it. Like, besides all that, because there's a lot of other industries, like just the meat industry in general is fucked anyway. But the fact that this is glamorized so much that all the elite of society come out and they wear big fucking hats and they drink too much champagne, they puke all over their fucking pants and make fools of themselves, and they all pose for selfies and it's all glamorized and amazing while we just gamble all of our hard-earned money away. We just throw away so much fucking money. Apparently, there's another statistic I found out while doing this, researching this.
You say hard-earned money, but I don't think that a lot of it's hard-earned at all. It's just like fucking.
Australia's pretty greasy.
Anyway, yeah, go on.
Apparently around roughly 40% of people who gamble on horse racing would be considered problematic gamblers, compared to an average of 16 to 17% amongst regular gambling.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
So you mean like they've actually impacted their families back at home with the money they
Yeah.
lost, right?
yeah. So it says roughly half of them are spending around $4,000 to $8,000 a year on gambling, and that's spending.
Right.
That's not making back. That's I guess losing. A lot of them lose. Anyway, the fact that we get a public holiday, the fact that it's just such that it's like this big high society event, it just feels so old world, so misguided, and so fucking. It's classic Australia, though. Couldn't be any more Australian, could it?
Wait till the photos come out of everyone who's littered and like passed out on the ground and like
Yeah, right.
it turns
It's
into this
disgusting.
it turns into this really like gross ritual.
Yeah. It's I looked at the word hedonism is a great word to describe it. It's like
Yeah, but don't sully hedonism, because there's something to hedonism.
yeah, they can be good. All right,
Yeah.
obviously everything can be fine. It's just like taking it to this extreme of overindulgence, surrounded by death and destruction. That's what.
Yeah,
that's
it's a whole thing that doesn't need to happen. That's
If we were just
yeah.
coming together over some music, or even if it was just an event, we just called it the big party. This is today's big party.
Yeah,
We're all gonna
everyone-
have a day off. We're gonna have a day off on Tuesday, and we'll all have a big party together. Come down and have a big party with us. We got some booze. We
Well,
got some drinks.
I went to a doof last weekend, and that's what they want to do with themselves, but they can't achieve the good natured sort of attitudes that people have at doofs. They can't like do it.
There's less money in it, I guess.
There's almost no money, depending on who you are.
Yeah, we definitely lose money doing it.
Yeah, and that's another testament to how nice people are.
Yeah.
They will like go to doofs and lose money because they're like being really generous or setting up a camp for others to enjoy and stuff like that. No one would do that at the Melbourne Cup because it's a very capitalist event. If you're sharing, you're actually dismantling the event itself. Like, if you're giving away things, then you're not in the spirit of the event, which is like intrinsically dog eat dog. I won more money than you.
Yeah. I can't believe gambling is even still a thing.
Burn it to the ground.
Obviously, I understand why it's still a thing, because it's going to be pretty fucking hard to dismantle gambling corporations. Just another testament to why capitalism, I guess, is toxic for the most part. But
Burn gambling to the ground.
burn gambling to the ground.
Burn gambling to the ground.
Grambling, burn it down.
Gramble down to the burn.
Take a gram of gambling, add a cup of dismay. You got yourself an
unhappy family.
Your mum's gonna be sad. No money left.
You don't want your mama sad.
Anyway, I've really worn myself out. I've ranted all day long.
Say something. Say a nice thing. About the world.
All right. Amongst all this chaos, we still have doofs.
You don't like doofs though, right?
No, I don't like doofs, but I like that.
But I like that they happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I like people seeing people happy. It's good. All right, optimism. I've been really quite optimistic lately. I've just gone on a bit of a rant today.
Yeah.
But things are. I think things.
Whoa, getting some quality issues.
Oh really?
Um.
me?
Yeah, just like a little artifacty sort of.
Shit.
I think
If
you're
it
all right now. I just had to
Cool.
stop you for a moment because it was going apeshit.
If it comes back, let me know. But yeah, the things I'm talking about, we are hopefully on an upswing in terms of social awareness of these things. They just don't need to be. They don't need to be. They don't need to exist anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
What doesn't?
horse racing
Oh yeah, yeah.
and too many babies.
And babies and home loans and
Home loans.
and
Man.
what else needs to go?
It's just to see
Donald Trump.
to see things failing so miserably. It's easy to just. That's why the youth are becoming a bit what's the word? Disenfranchised? Is that the right word?
Yeah. Oh, disenchanted, disillusioned, a whole lot of things. Yeah.
That's a good word. Disillusioned.
Yeah.
With how the world works, and everyone's kind of freaking out like, oh my god, they're gonna be socialists. We're just.
Oh no, they're gonna share things around.
Yeah. If there's homelessness, and if we can't afford if we have to rent from baby boomers all our fucking lives, if there's still gambling and all this shit, then clearly something is wrong.
There's a few good baby boomers out there though.
Oh, of course.
I don't rent from baby boomers. They're younger than that. But
Yeah.
I've basically been living as a socialist for a little while now, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I don't pay rent. I clean in exchange for rent.
Yeah.
Each day I do dishes and bits and pieces around the house to help keep it maintained, and that is in exchange for my place in the house,
Yeah.
which is just a good system, to be honest, to be perfectly honest. I needed that though because I wasn't really like work able.
Yeah.
Like I reckon a lot of the mental health issues of this time period are because of the way that this current society exists.
No, for sure.
It actually should be held accountable for the suffering that people are experiencing because of a lack of food and safe living environment. Like,
how many people do you know that aren't? We've touched on this last time, I think. Like,
yeah, the level of mental illness amongst like our just peers. Yeah.
How many people do you know that aren't depressed, or say they're depressed to some degree? You know, how many people do you know that say, I'm feeling great all the time. I don't suffer from any mental illnesses. I don't suffer from depression.
I'm experiencing all the time moments where a friend is just like staring blankly and then going like, shit's fucked.
Yeah. How can that be such a commonplace thing? How much more of that do we need until we all go, well, this probably needs to change. Something's obviously wrong. Something is not working for the human condition in this society.
Well, they're becoming more generous. I've got a lot of generous friends, so maybe the thing that's going to happen is that money will be traded for things on a necessary basis. Other than that, just like we share the things that we have, and yeah.
Well,
God,
it should be an exciting lifetime for us to live through. I mean, a lot of interesting shit gonna go
and
down,
a lot of
so,
really tough times.
yes.
So far,
that's
anyway,
right.
just too many tough times.
Bring it on! I'm gonna make a cartoon for every tough time that comes around.
Yeah, good on you. Good on you. I have to start doing some art again, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, no. Start getting up at 7:30 and make some art.
Damn. See, I don't know if I can handle that.
Yeah, you just go to bed at a decent hour.
I'm on a medication that just knocks me the fuck out. So
Well, get yourself a drip that just drips coffee into your bloodstream. 7 in the morning.
no, I don't want to get back on the energy drinks. Don't want to
Yeah.
get back on them. Jeez, we're pushing right up to the
Yeah,
minute.
That's it. Sweet. Well, thank you for listening. If you listened to Coprolalia,
Good job
hopefully
if you
we've
made it through.
Made you optimistic for the future.
Yeah, by talking about how miserable everybody is in the world.
It's darkest before the dawn, boys.
Yeah. Get ready for the dawn, motherfuckers. It's a new sunrise and
Shit should be fine. Shit's gonna be good.
and it's the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Age of Aquarius.
All right, I think we'll wrap it up. Just look in the description for links to things we spoke about.
Oh yeah.
And follow us on other things, and listen next time. And we'll get better.
Yeah.
Best outro.
Goodbye.